Hey, I'm Klaus Lauter and you're listening to the Ecommerce Coffee Break, the podcast that helps you grow your online store. In today's episode, we discuss Facebook ads in 2025. We talk about algorithm changes, media buyer secrets, and the future of scaling. Joining me on the show is Manel Gomez, a media buyer with over 8 years of experience. So let's dive right into it. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Ecommerce Coffee Break podcast. Today we want to dive into everyone's favorite topic, and I think it's very important for everyone who has an online store out there. We talk about Facebook ads. A lot of things going on there. We want to dive in and find out a little bit more on what's actually working and what should be done to make it successful. And with me, I have a guest as always, and today it's Manel Gomez. He is a media buyer with over 8 years of experience and 25 million in Facebook ad spend. He has coached hundreds of brands, agencies, and media buyers while working as a scaling partner for clients. And with insider access to Meta's private events and early updates, Manel also shares cutting-edge strategies as an international speaker. So let's welcome him to the show. Hi, Manel. How are you today?
Hey, Klaus. Thank you so much. And my pleasure to be here with everybody today.
Facebook ads, Meta ads, I think part of every marketing strategy out there has changed a lot over the years. We want to dive into this and find out what works. Give me just as an intro a bit of the idea of where we're moving to with Meta ads and what has changed in the last, let's say, 12 months.
Yeah. So, last 12 months, it's been just an introduction of more AI, more automations. So beginning of 2023, we had the end of 22, it was in the US. Beginning of 23, it was in Europe that they released these Advantage Plus new formats. And over the last 2 years, they've been pushing more like Advantage Plus Creative, Advantage Plus Audience, and stuff like this, which at the end of the day is just Meta, just taking control of the media buying aspect and just pushing you to put more attention into the creatives, the messaging, the angles, the landing pages, etc. So the direction is just more AI, more automation, and less manual work, which is good and bad at the same time.
I think it's a very important fact that you just mentioned. We're looking more into the creative than in the past. In the past, it all was about your custom audiences, narrowing it down. This has been gone. I think AI has really taken over what you just said.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit of how you basically structure a campaign nowadays.
Yeah. So, if we split Facebook ads in let's say 3 eras, it was the golden era of 2015 till 2019, the good times, right? So low CPMs, no competition, and people were not used to seeing ads. And so you would get a purchase for €1. Like you spend €1, spend $1, and then you get a purchase. Amazing times, no competition, but also a lack of knowledge. And then the second era would be a little bit more competition, but a lot of knowledge. And that was like 2019, 2020, 2021. And also with this spike in COVID of e-commerce, still were amazing times. So, but then after 2021, iOS 14, loss of tracking, Meta needs models, statistical models that can predict purchases. So you don't have the real tracking and you need external to kind of gets more complex. So since 2021, I would say it's been more complex than ever. 2023 being more complex than 24. 24 has been quite amazing, I would say, for all my clients and advertising compared to 23. But 21 to 25, it's getting challenging, right? So basically, in the past, it used to be interest targeting, testing a lot of audiences, and the machine learning would do the work to find new audiences from an interest and stuff like that. And you would duplicate from a winning ad set, you would duplicate that 20 times. And you were like a crazy scaler. Nowadays, I would say it's online sales. Before it used to be just duplicating, and now it's online sales, meaning you need to learn how to actually sell a product through a process. And that would be, like creating a testing campaign where you want to figure out winning angles. And from winning angles, you start testing, let's say you find the winning angle is beauty. And with this beauty angle, you start testing video, images, split screen images, etc. You find the winning one, and then you move into a funnel and you make a specific funnel for that winning angle, which is beauty. So you've got to go way deeper. Not many people do that. And people just want to throw creatives and duplicate ad sets with different interests. But that's 2018. So it's moving more to actually learning how to sell a product to a mass market.
That makes totally sense. You mentioned tracking, and tracking has been a problem for quite some time. As you said, this that's the iOS update, or 14.5 or whatever it was, screwed everything over. Still, you need to track. And tell me a little about if you set up a funnel, at which points do you track what?
Yeah. So in 2021, it was a big issue. Everybody took a big hit because it used to be so comfortable. The ROAS was always good. And we had this 28-day attribution. Meta could, gather a lot of data from users and share it with advertisers. So good times. iOS 14 hits, and all of a sudden you were used to having a ROAS of 3 or 4 in the account, and that goes down to 1 or 2. And you think you're losing money. In reality, you're not, because if you look at the blended ROAS at the MER, you're still profitable and you can still push, but you don't know where to push. And so 22, 23, we see a lot of external tracking tools like OneTrack, Triple Whale, all of these tools emerging. And in 2023, 2024, we see that Meta kind of perfects this statistical modeling, which if you go to the ads manager and you look, for example, at the column of the ROAS, next to the number, let's say ROAS 3, next to this 3, you have this elevated 2, small, which means statistical modeling. And if you hover over that 2, it just tells you this is modeled conversion. So could be real, could not be real. We don't have enough, due to privacy reasons, we cannot fully disclose the data. So let's say it's an approximation. But in 2024, the data that you see, the ROAS, it's pretty good. I've had better ROAS in 24 than in 23, and even in 22. So, but the client is still demanding the same profit margin. You know what I mean? So in 2022, I was investing aggressively at a ROAS of 1.8. And in 24, I'm spending pretty much the same, but the client is demanding a platform ROAS of 4. That's because Meta shows that. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a crazy ride with tracking. But at the end of the day, in the ads manager, most important metrics, to simplify that from the ad creative side, CTR, which is going to basically indicate, do the users like my ad? And then CPM is going to indicate, does Meta like my ad? Do they want to push it to new users with a low CPM? Or if they put a crazy high CPM of $60, it's basically shadow banning you, and they basically don't want your ad to be shown to a lot of people. So they put this high CPM. And eventually from CPM and CTR, you basically get the CPC. And then of course you want to track ROAS and cost per acquisition, CPA. Those would be the main ones.
Yeah, I think it's very important that you have a look on these different statistics that in the Facebook Ads Manager, the Meta Ads Manager provides you, that you really understand the numbers to work on. As we're talking about more ad creative, different formats and ads, how do you find winners and how do you improve them?
Yeah. As everything, it depends, right? So the first thing is the industry we're in. And there's a simple example that I always put is when I take on a new client, or I'm consulting anyone or just giving advice, you want to first figure out how do people buy that product offline. And then you will know the type of ad creative you want to run. To give you an example, if you go buy in Massimo Dutti and you want to buy fashion, like clothes, you go in the store. Usually, at least my behavior is I go in the store and I want to see a lot of options, a lot of different pieces of clothing. I don't want the guy in the store to talk to me. It's like, hey, do you need any help? No, just don't talk to me. I'm just checking. And when you're buying, you're like, this thing, no. Oh, yeah. And then you pick it and you go and buy it. Pretty easy. Think about when you let's say you have acne and you go to one of these cosmetic stores. It's completely different. The girl comes to me as an advisor, and I'm like, hey, please look, I've got this type of skin and I've got a lot of acne. It's kind of like a doctor, right? And you're asking for advice, and what do you think about this cream, but for my specific skin type? Okay, so it's a lot of questions. Now, when we move that into the ad creatives on Facebook ads, for fashion, we would have a carousel. So it's a simple carousel with white background and the product in the center, which could be, for example, a dynamic catalog ad, dynamic carousel. People just scroll 20 images until they find what they like. When they find it, they just click it. There's not much to sell because fashion is a commodity. Now, when it's cosmetics, you're going to need probably some type of UGC. If the UGC content is made by somebody that looks like a doctor or a dermatologist, more credible. And then I'm going to click because the product looks like it offers a real solution. I can trust it and I can put this chemical thing in my skin. Okay, I'm going to click on the ad. Mm-hmm. So that analogy just gives you like a quick start into what type of ad creative am I going to run for each specific industry. And then what I would say to people is the very first thing you need to figure out before the ad creative format, like video, image, type of image with headline, with product, without product, whatever, is the angle, is the messaging, is what resonates with people. Like if I put let's say I'm selling, I don't know, a sleep supplement, and if I'm selling this sleep supplement, does it resonate when I sell to people the idea of deep sleep? Or does it resonate when I sell to people the idea of if you sleep very well, you will be more beautiful because we produce collagen when we're sleeping, and deep sleep produces more collagen, so you'll have better skin. These are two completely different angles when I'm selling different things. One is purely sleep for more energy. The other one is sleep to become more attractive, which is ingrained in what we really want. So that will be angle testing. What resonates with people with the product that I'm selling? Because the product is just the vehicle. But what is the end result they're looking for? I don't know. So let's go to the market, see what type of what type of message has high CTR, which basically is the message that people want to stop consuming dopamine and go to see what you have to offer. And maybe just the idea of sleeping is not going to move them from the high dopamine, but the idea of looking more attractive might make them pause, right? So there you have your winning angle. And after that, we can worry about, is it UGC video? Is it an image? Is it a split screen image where on the left, I've got somebody sleeping with amazing skin, and on the right, I've got a picture of the product? I don't know. Then I will open a format testing project with the client. And right after that, we will jump into the funnel. So we could do a listicle. 5 reasons why deep sleep will improve collagen production. Amazing. I want to read that. And then at the end, you sell me the product with a limited time offer. Mm-hmm. You see how it kind of makes sense that we have like a process to figure things out. In the past, we didn't need this. It's just like throw a bunch of creatives. And my winning audience is the sleep audience. But nowadays, it's just broad targeting, Advantage Plus, whatever. Launch a lot of things, see the CTR, see what sticks with people, and go push that. So it's more about sales than just using a machine, a platform.
I think, Manel, you just gave a masterclass here in marketing, not only on Facebook ads, because something that I see quite often is people try to sell features and benefits, but that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for an outcome. And what you just mentioned here is a perfect example on how you create a campaign, any marketing campaign, for an outcome. I want to sleep better, so I look better. And I think that's the outcome. So that's what you need to keep in mind. So for our listeners, rewind the whole episode, listen to this more than once, because there's so much golden nuggets in here. Now, I want to dive a little bit into the whole AI part of it. You mentioned Advantage Plus, everything that's coming. It might be that one or the other person has the feeling that they are taking for a ride and leave too much control to the AI. What's your take on that?
I mean, it's the same with everything that Facebook releases. At the beginning, it's optional, but it becomes mandatory and you have no other option. So, do I like it? Do I not like it? I like control, but control is more work. So, both have benefits to it, right? Now, with Advantage Plus, in the Ads Manager, I'm working less. So I'm a freak. Like, of course, I'm doing the intraday scaling that I mentioned to you before, like these manual biddings. I'm still doing that. I'm super heavy on that. But I'm not selling so many ad sets nowadays. So it's less work. That would be a positive thing. But at the same time, if something works, like before you could justify it's because of this one thing, because you're controlling. There's one ad set and everything is super isolated. Now you don't really know. So it's becoming like a marketing mix. You know, the typical thing with you've got TV and you've got this other thing and this is the marketing mix. So it will get to a point that Meta will become a marketing mix and you don't know specifically what's hitting and what's not. So that would be the negative part. Like the loss of control is also the loss of specific data and specific conclusions, because they're also pushing everybody. Like whenever I had a call with them, from the Meta guys, there's always like, if you have an Advantage Plus campaign, we recommend you put 50 ads inside. That sounds crazy, right? And then I say, what about testing? No, just test with Advantage Plus. I'm like, but then I'm mixing all my conclusions, because there's one ad that's taking all of the ad spend and is doing the heavy lifting, and the other ones are picking the low-hanging fruits and have a ROAS of 10. It's super confusing. So there's a little bit of loss of control and loss of solid conclusions, which is what I don't like, because I'm using Facebook to understand the market. I'm using Facebook ads to gather information and data and then give it to the client. And when the client goes do the next shooting, they become really smart. So you end up being not just a media buyer, but let's say a consultant for the brand, and you're involved in the growth. That's doable right now. But if Facebook pushes for more AI and more automation, and it's just like, yeah, leave it to me as the platform, we might lose that. So that's not good. So, advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah, I think it's a learning curve also for Facebook, where the journey goes to with that. I also like manual control, as you said, for the same reasons that you have. And I think looking more into the creative part is not a bad thing, because you really think about your product. So if you can focus more of your time on the creative side and less on the nitty-gritty of fine-tuning, that might actually help you. Now, you have worked with hundreds of brands by now. Can you share some success stories or studies? You don't need to name the brand, on what kind of impact you have created.
So I'm currently just managing the ads for 3 brands, and I've been with these 3 brands for over 3 years. So a little bit of different industries. And in the meantime, like in these last 3 years, I've worked with other brands, but for like 7-month projects and 9-month projects and stuff like that. And one of I would say my biggest case study, which is a client that I still run the ads for, this was a fashion brand. And I started working with them in April of 2021. At the time, they were at $700K a month, more or less, March of 21. And spending 150 or 200K on Facebook ads specifically. So it was a good story, because the guy that kind of connected me with the client and recommended that was like, hey, Manel, basically he said in Spanish, do you have the balls to manage a 200K budget per month? I was like, I mean, of course, yes. But on the inside, you're like, 200K a month. What am I going to do with this? And of course, when you onboard the client and they give you access to the ad account, and you see the monster of an ad account I think 2021, everybody was duplicating a lot. And if you're duplicating a lot and you're spending 200K a month, that means you're really duplicating a lot. And so it took me like a month or 2 to get used to the ad account. But basically, long story short, 700K a month. And last November, they made 3.3 million. So that was in 3 years, 3 years and a few months. So that's, I guess, my biggest case study. Then the other one, from a, let's say, smaller perspective, I onboarded another client. I gave a conference in July of 22 in Barcelona, and they come to the conference, to the event. Onboarded in July of 22, and then last December they made 40K in the US. They were making 40K a month, and last December they made 700K, 721 or something like this. So of course, I'm not going to attribute all that success to myself. They've done a crazy job in product, email, organic, but Facebook has done a lot of heavy lifting, being the platform where they are investing most of the money. And if I had to highlight what I've done with them successfully, and I'm not going to highlight like just one strategy we did last month. These things usually are like, you look at growth year over year as a brand, and what they care is like that. It happens with. I'm coaching some guys that do drop shipping and still, and they're looking for like to make January much bigger than December. But it's like, no, you compare January to January and you look for growth year over year. And so what we did really, really good with these clients is, for example, with the 40K to 700K, they were doing more or less one flash sale every 6 weeks. So our goal, our target was, it's got to be more or less double this flash sale, double the revenue, what we did last year. So for every flash campaign, we would sit down and strategize, how can we double those 35K we did with this little flash campaign? How can we make this 70K? We're going to need this, we're going to need that. So that was giving us the actions to take. More creatives. Let's test 2 funnels. Let's make the offer like this. Let's increase the AOV so we can pay a higher CPA. So every flash campaign, it was a different thing. But to be a whole year asking yourself, how can we double in every single flash campaign? When you look back in December 31st, and you're like, oh, we actually almost doubled in every single flash campaign. And then we made the yearly revenue pretty much double. So it's 100% growth year over year. That's usually how you get to this point. If I simplify it now to 40K to 700K per month, it's not tangible, but one actionable thing is doubling each flash campaign and sitting down and strategizing that. The other one, with the fashion, we've done really good. We've done a crazy amount of product testing that went into production after we would validate. So they're really smart on that. And the moment we would see product market fit, we would start building everything and building the creatives and building all the stuff. And we found really good product market fit with a specific product that was going up with big brands at the same time. So we basically were catching that wave, and that allowed for a crazy push in budget because everybody wanted to buy. So capitalizing on an existing wave that was created by big brands, that helped a lot, I've got to say. And also the flash campaigns.
Okay. Yeah. I like the angle, and I think that's something that people might not think about, is that you can use ads as a research tool to prove if there is a market fit for a product. So not just coming with a product and want to scale this, but literally using that to find the next big product. So there's a lot of potential in there. Now, a lot of our listeners obviously do have much smaller budgets on Meta, as you just mentioned. What would be your advice for someone who's spending, like, say, $1,000 on Facebook and wants to scale over time? How should they approach the scaling process?
Yeah. So $1,000 per month is $33 a day. So we would start with account structure. First, kind of make a decision in what account structure we want to run, and we can talk about it now. Then after that, we would go into testing important variables, only testing relevant variables that create second and third order consequences that I'll mention now, and then scaling. So, and the last thing is, you don't want to, and this is coming from Facebook media buyer, you don't want to fully depend on Facebook. So you want to have your email in place, 1 to 2 newsletters every single week, be active in organic. Doing a good organic job is going to favor you in the auction when you're advertising. So have your Instagram profile active and that it looks decent. It's part of the funnel. So just have, even if you consider yourself, I'm not a big brand, you still have to operate like one, because the purchasing process from which one you will be judged by a user that's about to purchase is the same. So they will see the ad and they will say, oh, I'm going to check the Instagram profile. Is this legit? They go to Adidas, they're like, yeah, this is legit. But if they go to your Instagram, they also need to think, this is legit, because the purchasing trigger is going to be the same. So you're in the same field. So that would be the first thing, having that base. But then after that, account structure. Any account on Facebook ads has to have a testing campaign. And then the conclusions from the testing campaign get moved into scaling campaigns. So on a more practical level, the testing campaign would be an ABO testing campaign, meaning the budget is going to be set per ad set. Each ad set will represent one unique important variable. So as the example before, we've got the sleep supplement. So you would say, for example, each ad set is a hypothesis. So, and you give a specific budget to each hypothesis until it's proven wrong or right, and you finish the test. Ad set number 1 would be sleep supplement, open brackets, beauty angle, close brackets, $20 a day. Down below, or $10 a day. Down below, you've got hypothesis 2, which would be sleep supplement, open brackets, sleep angle, close brackets. Those 2 ad sets at $10 a day. In 3 days, you have enough clicks to know who's getting a better CTR So this is another thing. When you have a low budget and a product that has a selling price higher than 50, those conditions mean that you cannot expect to, how do I say, to get 20 purchases before you can validate a test, because the 20 purchases will require a lot of budget and you need to test fast. So you will move back into the funnel and judge the performance of an ad based on the CTR and the cost per add to cart. Because testing with $10 a day means that in the period of 3 days, you will spend $30. $30 will get you one purchase or two at best. So that means that either the test is going to take 2 months, which is not possible, or you have to judge based on other variables, which is the CTR and the cost per add to cart, just to judge the purchasing intent of people coming from that ad. So that's on the testing side. Again, don't test stupid variables. Like, don't test orange background against black background, because this variable is not going to have any impact. When I'm saying impact, I'm saying that the conclusion that you get from that ad set, from that test, will allow you to, in the future, to improve your product page or to create a specific funnel for that hypothesis. So you can profit more of that budget that you're burning in the test. So I would be testing. When it comes to scaling, I'd recommend people, if this is still available when they're watching this, to, as soon as you get one winning ad from the ABO campaign, you move that into an Advantage Plus campaign. And Advantage Plus is very comfortable. It's chasing low-hanging fruits. It works with AI. It's pretty good. Limit at the beginning, limit each Advantage Plus campaign to maximum 5 ads, because it will only spend in 1 or 2 ads. So the other 3 ads will be wasted. Don't put more than 4 or 5 ads inside of one Advantage Plus campaign. So ABO, Advantage Plus, and after this structure should allow you to get to $100 a day. And if you find more winners at the beginning, let's say you put 3 ads per Advantage Plus campaign, just build more Advantage Plus campaigns. So a good structure to start would be your ABO testing campaign and 3 Advantage Plus below. That's very simple. Should allow you to get to $100 or $150 a day. And then past that, we introduce more complexity.
Yeah, it already shows that it's a very complex process. And I think a lot of small, medium businesses, they don't have the capacity, they don't have the insights or the expertise in-house. Now, you're working with a lot of brands. Who's your perfect customer? With whom do you work?
Well, honestly, there's a lot of variety, because I've got people spending in the program, in the coaching, people spending $15K a day in the US and scaling like crazy. And that's one profile. I've got agencies, I've got media buyers, and I've got super small brands that are spending $50 a day. And we're just building completely different things for them. It's just different solutions. So at the end of the day, it's anyone that's struggling to scale Facebook ads and looking for more consistency and more ad spend on a daily basis. That'll be it. No specific number, to be honest.
Okay. Now, you have a program. You mentioned the Accelerator Program. What is that, and how does that help? It's the best thing I've put out ever. I used to just work with the brands, like as a freelancer, with the brands that I was running the ads for. And every Black Friday, I would do like a mastermind online, and I would get a group of 10 people, help them scale on Black Friday. It would last 2 months, and then cut it and disappear in January. On the one side, it was sad, because you create a group that you go to war together. You go to Black Friday, you stay up till 3 a.m. And I've got many pictures, staying up with these guys and sending photos on WhatsApp. Hey, I'm scaling to this, I'm scaling to that. It was nice, right? To be honest, it was nice. It was beautiful. Good case studies, everybody happy. But then I realized that January, February, March, nothing's going on. So I'm just running the ads, and it's every now and then I do like one-on-one coaching with somebody, 2023 or 2024. So the beginning of 2023, I was like, let's just merge all of these that I'm doing randomly, like one-on-one, and then Black Friday, and then these things, that just put it into a program that includes kind of everything in different tiers, but includes everything. It includes the one-on-one with me, the group coaching, being in a community on WhatsApp with the guys. And we still have the quarterly workshops.
So we get together, all of us, and every quarter there's like a workshop either for winter sales and Valentine's. That was the last one we did. Then it's going to be spring scaling, the next one in more or less 2 weeks. And then after that, summer sales workshop, and then the Black Friday workshop. So it's kind of cool putting people together that have the same goal, scaling different situations, and they get to help each other even without my help, which is, it's very nice that it runs kind of in evergreen. But yeah, that's the program pretty much. It's been pretty good so far.
Okay, no, that sounds absolutely good. How can people join the program? Is there any kind of application process?
I would say they should go to my YouTube. Just type Manel Gomez Facebook ads. Check a couple of videos just to get to know me and see if we connect before anything. And then after that, in every single video in the description, they've got a URL. And in the URL, there's basically like a video of myself explaining the program, and they can apply for a call in there. But I would recommend just going to YouTube and checking a couple of videos.
Excellent. I will put the YouTube links in the show notes, and you're just one click away. Manel, before our coffee breaks comes to an end today, is there anything you want to share with our listeners that we haven't covered yet?
Last thing would be follow demand patterns when it comes to scaling and whenever you want to push more. So demand patterns, what I mentioned at the beginning is when people get the salary, try to spend more money on Facebook because it will have a better ROAS. So from the 28th of the month until the 6th of next month, push budgets and scale as much as possible because there's more liquidity in the market. And then usually analyze what's your top performing day of the week historically. That can be analyzed on Shopify in the reports. And if it's Sunday, every single Sunday, you should spend more money than on a Tuesday. So if you follow that, you will minimize risk of having ROAS inconsistency and low ROAS. And that's a pretty smart strategy that I've been using. So I would mention that, and more stuff on YouTube.
Excellent. As said, links will be in the show notes. And for our listeners, I think you have to listen to this episode more than once. And if you know people out there who are doing or running Facebook ads, forward this episode because there's a lot of gold nuggets in here. Facebook ads are here to stay. They will evolve. They will have new changes. I think we should just stay in contact and from time to time just figure out what has been changed, how it can help the online sellers in the market. Manel, thanks so much for your time today, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Klaus. Thanks everybody for watching.